Folks, we all know that there's some crazy stuff happening out there, eh? I mean, we've got government agents coming up to us, telling us that we're all equal. They make demands upon us that we know we could never make upon them. Where's the equality? On the screen, there's a little baby. That's Elizabeth Annie Lane. She's a little baby, came into my life about 4.5 years ago. 2 days after the birth of Elizabeth, ministry workers came in, removed her. No investigation, no assessment. Claimed she only had one caregiver. We said, you're wrong, we're a family, we're going to meet you in court. They told us if we tried doing that, they'd see to it she spent the first 5 years of her life going from foster home to foster home to foster home. Shut me up in court, cost me my baby. Folks, anyone who knows me, shutting me up even for a moment is a bit of a trick. They cost me my baby. I sat down with their Act Black's Law Dictionary on one side, Bouvier's on the other. I had an Old English dictionary. I looked up every single word in there. It took me 3 days, nothing but toast and tea and a couple of tokes. Took me 3 days and I finally saw it. Have you ever seen these laser pictures? You see nothing until you focus past it, and then a 3D picture pops into your head. Have you seen those? This is exactly what I saw when I did my statute deconstruction. I looked through and I suddenly saw what they were doing. This is their little trick. You are not obliged to register your children. If you do, it is at that point that you're creating a legal entity or a person. You are associating this person with your offspring. You are abandoning ownership or title to that person. And the government is seizing that under the laws of maritime salvage. It becomes their chattel property. They use it as collateral to float loans or to float bonds for loans. When they come to remove a child, they're not acting on the human being at all. They're removing the legal entity you created and abandoned and they now have title to. It's like borrowing a rain jacket from your neighbor for your kid. Your neighbor comes, says, I'm taking the jacket back. You let him take it with your child still in it. That's your person. That is what the government acts upon. Since then, I've deconstructed a whole lot of acts, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about your person. Next slide, please. What I found in my research, a human being and a person are not the same thing. We've been led to believe that they are, but they're not. In Black's Law Dictionary, you'll find a definition of a person, and it says, a human being is not a person because he is a human being, but because rights and duties have been ascribed to him. Specifically, the person is that legal subject or substance of which the rights and duties are attributes. But not all human beings are persons, as was the case in Old England when there were slaves. You are not a person, you have a person. If you never know that this person exists, if the government is acting upon it and you are unaware of its existence, you're a slave to your own ignorance. Once you become aware of its existence, you can take it off at will. If that's the only thing they can act upon, you have the seed right there for your freedom. If you hold your jacket like this and say, go ahead and touch it, and the moment you touch it, I'm no longer associated with it, they're not going to want anything to do with that jacket. They're the ones left holding the hot potato. The purpose of this person it wasn't to deceive you. It wasn't to enslave you. It was to provide you with a very strong level of protection against government tyranny. If they never act against you as a human being and they're only acting against your person, you always have the option to reject their governance and therefore escape tyranny totally and absolutely peacefully. The purpose of the person is for your benefit. You, as a human being, do not exist for the benefit of your legal fiction. Your legal fiction is there for you. Just like a rain jacket is there for you. And if you're in the rain, it's a good thing. If, however, it's a sunny day or you're in a lake, water up to your neck, it's something you want to remove lest it's going to harm or hamper you. The same is true with your persons. I think they kind of hoodwinked us. They created a situation when they got rid of slaves. They said, okay, everyone can be persons. If you do have slaves, then yes, it's beneficial to be a person. If, however, there's no more slaves, becoming a person is kind of saying, yeah, I'll take that lowest totem pole. In the deconstruction of the acts, what I found, what I'll tell you about in the next little 30 minutes or so, we're going to go through the 6 fundamental tricks that I've noticed in deconstructing their acts. When you sit down and you look at their body of words and you start deconstructing it, trying to figure out what the truth is, these 3, they always use them together. Smoke. The purpose of smoke from a tactical perspective as an ex-military soldier, the purpose of smoke is it's an irritant, it's an obscurant, it will hide movement, it will irritate your eyes, and it usually precedes an attack. You can find smoke in their words by looking for excess words that make no sense, that really aren't necessary. If they start defining words that you know the definition of already, like look in the Children and Family Service Act, they define the word child. Why would they do that? The people using the act, they all have university educations. The reason they're putting this excessiveness in there is because they are creating movement, they're changing the definition just slightly, and they need to do that in order for this smoke to work. The next one is the mirrors. Let's suppose for a moment that this right here, this piece, next seminar we've got to get a mirror, guys. Let's suppose this is a mirror and I'm standing right here. You would see me and you would see my reflection and you would there would be no confusion. You would know which is which. You would know which is which because you would see me and you would see the edges of the mirror. If, however, we use smoke and we hide the edges of this mirror and all you see is me and this reflection and you never really know which one is the mirror, you're going to have a little bit of confusion. If they incorporate the next one, next slide please. If they incorporate the camouflage, and they use camouflage to hide me, my physical body, so all you see is the reflection, and you do not see, because of the smoke, the edges of the mirror, from your perspective, this reflection will appear to be a real thing. And if you never investigate, if you never step up and touch it and go, hey, look at this, it's just glass, you will always be deceived into thinking that this reflection is a reality. It's not a reality. The next ones they use, switching of the bait and the slider. People here have gone out, I'm sure, buying a car. You buy any product, they offer you one, and then they slip you another one. That right there is switching the bait. From a distance, it will appear that you have an obligation. You'll go, oh, okay, I got an obligation. I'm going to meet my obligation. You'll pick up your obligation. You won't even look at it because you're sure that it's an obligation. Closer examination will reveal that it's not an obligation at all. It's a choice, a voluntary choice. They've switched it on you. They